Good evening. Check this out. I finished working on the prototype for level 2-4, Act 2, level 4. I decided to go with a setup where, this level in general is a mixture of the first two enemy types, your jazzy dashing dude and your gangsta swordsman. And I mixed it up where the first floor has the guys that only take one hit, and then the 2-hit guys on the second floor, and then the third floor is a mixture of all of them. Pretty happy with it. And one thing I also had to fix was with these jazzy guys. So the red dudes, they take one hit every time. Well, one hit they parry you, and then the second hit you kill them. So you always got to hit them twice. Unless they're standing directly behind a door, which when you break through it, you'll kill them instantly. So I had a kind of a similar thing with these jazzy guys, except I had a thing where if you attack them fast enough after coming already through a door, you could kill them before they're ready to defend themselves. And while I liked that idea, the inconsistency between that and the fact that these guys will always parry you unless they're behind the door, wasn't a fan of that. It was pretty confusing. Like, if you go fast enough to be able to kill these guys as soon as you enter the room, it was kind of confusing that these guys will always parry you, but these guys won't. And it's even weirder when you consider that these guys are supposed to be the harder ones. So I made them work the exact same way. So you can only kill these guys when they're directly behind the door. Otherwise, they'll always parry your first attack. Now let's take a look. You might be able to tell that I've practiced this a lot. Oh, it's kind of hard with the webcam in my way. I'm going to give it a few tries before I call it quits. I think I can do this. Come on. Godlike performance. And besides that, the other thing I did was, in preparation for starting on level 2-5, we're introducing the next new enemy, the Gunman. The Gangsta Gunman. So I set up all of his animations and his sprite and the basic prefab for him today. And one of the new mechanics with him is that when he shoots at you, you can deflect his bullet. That part is still working from the prototype that I made way back when of this guy. Hold on. Now it's still reusing the clash effects and the parry effects, and it's kind of hard to see the bullet bouncing back, but that shall all be fixed in due time. It's all placeholder stuff right now, but hey, it works. Now the one thing I'm not digging here is, I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera, but his animation when he's shooting it's a little questionable right now. I think for a couple reasons. One is that, and I don't know if this is... No, I don't think it's just because of the background. I think the gun is a little too small. I think because of the, like, technically I think it's correct, it's realistic, but I think for effect, aesthetically, it needs to be exaggerated. So I think one thing is to make his pistol a bit bigger, and the other thing is, I was going to say the feeling of impact when he actually shoots the gun feels kind of weak right now. But now that I think about it, that could be because it's animating too quickly. I don't think that animation's meant to be so fast. Let me see here real quick. Gunman. That would be his attack and prepare attack. Yeah, so it's kind of fast right now. One other thing too is he's not working exactly the way I want him to work yet. I still got to work on that tomorrow too. He's not going to just stand still and shoot at you. My plan for these guys is that they'll be kind of like the jazzy dashing guys, where they'll dash and then shoot at you, and then dash and then shoot at you every like half a second or so, to make them a little more interesting. So that hopefully the ideal way, if it works out, to kill them is to always parry their bullets rather than try to chase them around, or at least make it as viable a strategy as trying to chase them down. Let's see what this animation looks like now. Well, now this guy's not even... Oh, there we go. Okay. Not sure what happened there. Okay, that actually does look better. So yeah, the animation was a little too fast. That's not as bad. I do feel, though, still like... It does feel a little stiff still, though. Kind of like... Like, I wish I could see his legs more. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, that he had a more of a, like, wide-legged stance. Because right now, it definitely feels like he's sort of just standing, like, standing up straight, and then... Yeah, I feel like he needs a more exaggerated stance. You can see that he does have some legs on his side, though, when he's shooting like that, but it's pretty subtle. I think it needs to be also a little more exaggerated. But whatever, I'll come back to that. Most important thing tomorrow first is to get all of his functionality working correctly. Get the bullet looking nice too, and then we'll see about that. Having it on a bit different background might help too. So that's it for the work done today. Now, I had one funny little story I wanted to share. I was looking at the store page for the demo, and I saw someone left my first ever negative review. Well, not first ever, but first on the demo store page. And I told myself that I would not look at any reviews at all, positive or negative, and just do what I want to do. But I won't lie. Curiosity got the better of me. It's the first negative. I had to see what it said. And I have to say, for a negative review, it was actually pretty good. He mostly liked the game and had a lot of positive things to say, and he described it as excellent. So about as positive a negative review could be. But he had a bunch of minor issues with the game that all added up and prevented him from fully enjoying it. Now, the thing that was funny to me about this is because one of the things he complained about, or I shouldn't say complained, but that he criticized, was the writing. And now I've mentioned here before that I'm not entirely happy with the quality of the writing right now myself. I think I was a little too restrained. It's a little too stiff right now. Like, it's okay. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's good even, I would say, but it's not as good as it could and should be. And yeah, I've talked about how I want to put a lot more character into the characters and less exposition. I think that's the biggest problem it has right now. It's a little too gamey, a little too exposition, a little too... I feel like I wrote it the way I thought it should, or the way that I thought it should sound, as opposed to writing it really the way I actually want to write it and the way that I imagined these characters. Anyway, sorry for the detour there. But yeah, he felt that the writing wasn't good enough, but specifically his problem was with the humor. And he said, fat jokes in 2025? Really? So the reason I thought this was so funny, though, is I was thinking about how now when you make something and you put it out there, there's always, because of culture war shit, there's always people who will criticize you no matter what you did. Your thing is too woke, or it's not woke enough, or whatever the fuck, right? So I was thinking about how I wonder when I release my game, if people care enough about it, what is a criticism I might get? And the one that stood out to me the most was that people might call me fat phobic because of the fat jokes that I wanted to give to Genyu. So, because in the demo right now, like, Genyu makes a fat joke about Gomen, and even in, like, I was thinking as a running joke for the first act, even in like the rewrite that I want to do, I wanted to have a running joke of Genyu, like, every time he talks about Gomen, he always comes up with some new creative, like, fat joke to make about him. So yeah, anyway, I just thought it was funny that my first negative review, and I already, just with the demo, got my first criticism of, like, fat jokes. Come on, bro. It's offensive to some people, I suppose. But yeah, sorry to say, I don't remember the name of the guy who left this review, but if you ever watch this video, I'm not sure that you're going to like the final version any better. In fact, it's probably going to be significantly more offensive. I gotta stay true to my vision. I'm sorry, bro. One thing I will say, though, that I also find funny about people who can be puritanical about things like this, but at least specifically in a context like this, is, like, in my game, the whole setting is you're hanging out with essentially a bunch of, like, scummy underground degenerate type characters, and moment to moment you are en masse slaughtering tons of random dudes, and you don't even have a particularly good reason for it. Like, the game doesn't give you a very good justification. You just don't like these guys, basically, and Genyu's just telling you to do it. So it's just kind of funny to me thinking about it logically, like, you know, slaughtering tons and tons of random people, no problem, no big deal. But a fictional character making a fat joke about another fictional character, that's too much. That's too far. It made me think of there's an old South Park episode where they're kind of satirizing how people are so much more prudish about nudity than they are about violence, where I think Butters gets, like, a ninja star into his eye and he's got this, like, gruesome wound, but then and like, everyone in the town is just completely ignoring this and nobody gives a shit, but then Cartman is naked at one point and the town sees him naked and they have, like, his mass hysteria over it and everyone freaks out. It's like the same kind of thing, right? Absolutely brutal violence and gore all across my game, but I guess fat jokes are one step too far. Well, it is what it is. Now, I don't know. Maybe it won't be entirely offensive to people depending on how I'm planning to write it, because Genyu's certainly not meant to be a role model per se, and I did want to write things when I do the rewrite. I wanted to write it in a way where, like, you don't have to get along with him. He's meant to be a much more offensive, abrasive, edgy character, and I want to give the player character the option to, like I mentioned before, I had this idea of rewriting the dialogue choices so it's all about agreeing or disagreeing with the different characters and molding your relationships with them in that way. So you will have the option of like, disagreeing with him and pushing back on him, and the other characters in the game won't be like him either. I think Jones will be more of, like, a classy guy who might even roll his eyes from time to time with the kind of edgy, shocking shit that Genyu likes to say just to shock people for the fun of it. So maybe maybe even some people who don't like those kinds of jokes will, through that means, be able to enjoy it anyway. But I make no promises. I'd be lying if I didn't say it was at least somewhat a reflection of my own sense of humor. And I have a pretty dark and twisted sense of humor, so if that's not your jam, just might not be your kind of thing. Having said that, I'm out. Peace.